Wow, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Your hair looks so cute. I like the
It's really greasy.
oh.
I need to take a shower today,
Mm, mm,
like
mm.
this, like after our podcast. But I didn't think I was gonna have enough time because I still needed to read the chapter this morning.
There you go. Well,
Oh, I braided it. So it's all hiding my grease.
we're braided girls today. I'm
Mm.
gonna sorry. I'm just like
You're just like really struggling over there. You've literally been adjusting it for like a minute and a half.
I changed positions. Okay.
I kind of was like,
Oh, okay. I don't know what you expect me to do about that, Katie. Oh my gosh. Welcome back, everybody. Woo! Katie and I were just saying that we're almost halfway through the book. Can you believe it? It's crazy.
crazy. Cray,
So
y'all.
I cannot believe it.
We're on chapter 10,
Chapter 10,
Interrogations.
Interrogation.
I feel like that's what the last like three chapters have been.
I know, right?
It's just them going boom, boom, boom.
I have so many tabs and
Yes. Wait.
notes
Yes.
for this. Like, my pages
Mm,
are written all over, so
I'm
I cannot
excited.
wait to chat.
All I have to say is there was a lot of good flirting, I
Ooh,
think, in this chapter, which I really appreciated.
yes. There was one like specific section where the flirting like stops and I almost wrote down like okay, end of flirting. End of all fun flirting. I'm so excited to get into it. As always, this is Edward. I'm Bia,
And I'm Katie, live
live from New
from New
England.
England.
It's
It's Twilight.
Twilight tonight. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Wow.
It's been a hot minute, y'all. Honestly, it's all my fault. I started a new job and I've been crazy.
Well,
It's been
starting
hard
a
to
new
pin
job,
down.
dude, you've been having to learn a whole museum layout, and I can't even figure out which direction the parking lot is once I get into a building, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's fair. And I think that's, you know me, I feel like I'm pretty good with direction and
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like I have the city of Boston mapped pretty decently. There's a couple of just like blank spots in the map, but I'll explore that eventually. I'll get there and then I'll fill in the map.
There you go. Hey, Katie and I forgot to record our check in when we recorded this episode. So here's our quick little check in. Let us know in the comments what Twilight character you're feeling like this week. Thanks so much for listening. Bye. I kind of figured you're so patient with me and you never yell when have a panic attack right before an episode and don't say anything for 30 minutes. But look, check it out. Because you took your time, I figured out how to put my microphone in its spot.
I was gonna say it looks really great. I like the LED a lot. It like really adds.
Thank you.
I
Thank
like
you.
it. Because
It's
then it goes with your excitement when you get louder.
it does. It does. Yeah. I love this LED.
How was your day?
Uh
Did you see that video I sent of people pausing Twilight?
yes. That is so
Funny.
funny. Man, only recently did I see that people in the background of like a certain scene, they're not even kicking a hacky sack, they're just randomly kicking the air. And I just think it's so beautiful that after all these years, I'm still learning new things.
That's beautiful. All right.
Kitty, my lady. Yeah. Looky here, baby. Uh-huh. What Twilight character best represents you at the
This week,
moment,
at the
this
moment.
week?
Okay, yeah,
I
okay.
don't know. Yeah. This week,
Well,
this
I've
week.
thought of this week, so that's what
Perfect.
it
So
needs
let's
to
do this
be.
week. What Twilight character best represents you this week?
So I am going to say Charlie Swan. I It has been so cold and rainy in Boston. Guys, it's fucking
Same, yeah.
May 22nd. So we had 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks of just like beautiful weather, like
Damn, it
60s,
didn't even feel that
70s.
long.
Like we were maybe 3 weeks. We had like occasional rainy days here and there, but there was just like I feel like at least in
Mm.
Boston, some gorgeous sunny days. It is 50 degrees average. Sometimes like low-key, there was like a 47-degree moment. And I'm like, it is May
That's way
22nd,
too
Memorial
cold.
Day weekend of this is upcoming, okay? It's too cold. I have a sweatshirt on, a long sleeve shirt, and I've got a blanket on. I'm freezing. I am in my cold room. However, the reason I feel like Charlie Swan is because I've also been like, he's lives in Forks his whole life. So this is just the weather. It's cold and it's rainy. And, I'm sure May 22nd, this is what he expects in Forks, okay?
Mhm.
You know, but also I've been so pensive this week. I think I'm about to start my period.
Mm.
Just been thinking a lot. And I feel like maybe I've even been a little melancholy. And I just feel like he's a little melancholy. You know what I mean? Like Bia can attest. Like I had to reschedule this like twice because I just wasn't feeling it. Like I just knew that I couldn't deliver what I needed to deliver. But today I powered through and I made it through.
And I'm so happy you're here.
And this is making me feel better. I think maybe I just needed a little bit of a release. But
Mm.
yeah, feel like I'm feeling like Charlie. I've been thinking a little melancholy, just in the cold, in the rain.
I
And
know.
I've been I don't know. I was gonna try to make a police connection, but I don't think I can do that.
I always try
I'll
and
stop
forget
there.
that he
He's a sheriff
he's a
in a
sheriff.
small town,
You're right. He's a good guy.
ultimately. Anyway, Bia, what Twilight character are you feeling like this week?
Well, thank you so much for asking.
Of course.
You know, I think it's funny that you mentioned the weather. So I actually, of course, as usual, I have two because can't ever just pick one. I'll, my first one, I feel like Bella's stepdad because I played my first softball game last weekend and it was so
Good.
fun.
Wait.
Yes, we
Okay,
won.
before I was gonna say before we even get to your next character, I'm sorry. Can you give us a little bit of detail about this softball game? I
Yes.
didn't even know you won. Oh my God.
Yes. So we are at, I got like a jersey. It's like that weird like polyester material. Like it like makes me feel like it's like made from Shein.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But it's cool. It like it says Bia on the back, so that's cool.
Oh, that's so
It's
cute.
so cute. And I got number 27. So
Slay. 27
um
dresses.
there you go. That's it. What the heck? Oh yeah. I got there like they told us to get there at 3:30. I mean, I'll probably cut this out, but I got there at 3:30 and there were just some guys like chilling there and like sort of like pre-gaming. And like a couple of them were like on my team, and so I was like,
Oh,
oh, gotcha. That, like,
that's the
okay.
vibe.
Yeah. I came and I was like, I'm ready to play and I'm so excited. And I don't think I'm ever gonna like pre-game before a game because I think I'll just get like hit in
I
the
don't, I
face.
think I would also just like maybe vom a little bit. Like, why are they a
Yeah.
bunch of like, I'm assuming they're drinking beer. Not my
Yeah.
vibe, but like,
Mm-mm.
I can see the appeal.
Yeah. And I guess like they play a lot, so for them it's probably like, oh, this is the the drunk game and my other games are my sober games.
This is the drunk. What was it? It was a Sunday. It's
It was a Sunday. It's a Sunday. Uh, but we won.
Yay, that's
It
amazing.
was awesome. And I kind of dropped the ball a couple of times, but the team was really sweet. And like, first of all, I have not played since high school. And so I was like real rusty. I've also never really been a good batter. Um, and the team was just so sweet. They were like, you got this. See it into the bat. And also, this is weird. Usually it's three strikes, you're out. Mm-mm-mm. Two strikes, you're out. And sometimes you get two people walking the base instead of one walk. Like if somebody gets hit by the ball or you get a ball, there's two people now on the bases. I'm like, huh? But
Okay.
I think it's just like to make the games go faster. It's sort of
That
like
makes
speed
sense.
round Monopoly, like somebody's got to buy this fucking house.
Right now.
Buy, hold, hold, hold. I've also been in my investings recently. I don't know what Twilight character does investing, but I put like,
Probably Emmett.
you think so? You think
Maybe he's not smart enough for that. Sorry, Emmett.
Eric, the
Emmett,
chess
Emmett at
club
the
type?
I feel like Emmett, but like at the advisory of Rosalie. You know what
Wow.
I mean?
Yes,
A
yes.
little bit of a girl power in there for us.
There
But
you go.
I think that she's smart as a whip, and
Ciao.
she's his little himbo, or he's her little himbo. All
Good, good. Yes.
right,
Yeah.
that's my conclusion. All right, so what second Twilight character are you feeling like this week?
And my second Twilight character is honestly, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but Possibility Bella, where she's just sitting in the chair and she's watching the seasons change and she's just and yeah,
Totally.
it like I feel like it's the weather, like it's
It's
just been like it was so beautiful and like everything was so green and so warm outside. Like I was wearing shorts and like a tank top, and now I literally have been bringing out my fuzzy winter socks when I work from home.
I put my winter like robe away because I would put it on after my showers. I'd be like, okay, I'm getting too hot in this.
Yeah.
No, I had to bring it out. I took a shower and I was like, Charlie, give me the robe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not turning the heat on. Why would I turn the heat on? I'm not doing that. It's May. It's fucking May. I'm sorry it's not happening. I told Charlie, I said, we're layering up and we're wearing our robe and we'll cuddle for warmth.
There you go.
And that's that. We're not turning the heat on.
It's
So
been crazy. I just can't believe that I'm like, we literally have our fleece sheets on the bed. Like, it's that serious.
it's freaking cold, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was literally so close to saying possibility Bella, but I was like, God, I feel like it, I also feel like for some reason I've said that before. So I was like, I feel like that maybe I haven't, but I that was my main reason. I was like, God, I can't repeat that.
I'll
So
probably repeat that.
and that's totally fine because I think that it's a very I was gonna say valid, but I just that word makes me feel like a college student. You're so valid.
You're so
Um,
valid. You're valid.
but it's very yeah, I know it makes sense. That's all.
No, yeah, it's every day's blurring into the next, and I'm just,
We're so
holy fuck.
close.
But I'm
We get
so close. I'm
long
so
weekend this
close.
weekend, and then we're gonna break through and we're gonna have some good weather. And me and B are going to a concert next weekend. We're going to the Pierce the Veil concert in freaking, where is it? Mansfield, Massachusetts or something.
Yeah, lawn ticket, baby.
Yeah. So gonna be super fun. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
And yeah, I keep forgetting that it's like literally next week.
I know, I'm like,
I've seen you so much in the past like 4 weeks. I feel like it's
I
like bam,
know.
bam, bam. Not a bad thing. Not complaining, but it's just funny. Because I feel like
Ah,
I went a while in the winter where like no one wants to leave
I
the
know,
house.
right?
But now it's like birthday, club, another club, bus,
Bus.
club. Wow, that was beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the
Enjoyed this
book.
episode.
I hope you guys really enjoy it. Also, did you enjoy our outfit change?
Ooh.
Maybe our mood change? Like I wonder how we're gonna all like how it's am I gonna sound different? Sorry, I'm being goofy. But yeah, so it's been a while, but we're very excited. I'm very excited to be back. I guess I should not speak for Bia, but
No, I am very excited. I I was checking our comments actually,
comments
and
plural.
okay, I was checking our one comment from Grace. Okay. Thank you, Grace. They said, I am so excited to for the lunchroom scene, and I just have been waiting. I listen, I'm just so excited for this chapter.
I'm very
Um,
excited.
it was so much better than the movie.
So much better. That was my whole thought this whole time. So much
Yeah.
better. So far the book, obviously the book is better, but their relationship in the book, it's so much better and it makes so much more sense. Like obviously it's still a very quick timeline and all of that's still true. But they have banter love. I can't do it. I can't do a British accent. But they've got banter, okay? They've got banter
They've
love in
got
the most
Banta
American
love.
way. They've got banter love. That was better. Okay, clip that one and
Oh my gosh.
anyway, it's
Yeah.
so much better in this chapter. We will get into it. Sorry, I feel like we're like teasing it.
Last time we left off, they had a car ride home. He drove her home from Port Angeles, and they had a very interesting conversation where Bella learned a lot about Edward. Last chapter, he asked her if she wanted to have lunch with him the next day, and she was like, "Yeah." And we ended the chapter with her classic line of
It's the back of the book.
yeah, the three things she's positive of, and she's in love with him,
Yeah. Irrevocably in love.
irrevocably in love with him. And so now we kick off on page 196, chapter 10, Interrogations. I was very hard in the morning. Okay, that is my first one.
There's more? Okay. Anyway,
It
it was very, which also isn't better.
it was very hard in the morning to argue with that part of me that was sure last night was a dream. Logic wasn't on my side, or common sense. I clung to the parts I couldn't have imagined, like his smell.
Obsessed with him. She's obsessed with the way that he smells, which I respect. I'm sure that he smells like, I mean, obviously he's like a, I was gonna say a mythical creature, but he's right there, so it's not a myth. But he's like an otherworldly
Yes. He's
being,
he's built to attract humans.
like prey. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah, so that's crazy, but she's she's into it. And it's mentioned like four times this whole time.
Yeah. Listen, he smells pretty damn good. And she's like, there's no way I could have dreamed that up. She says, it was foggy and dark outside my window. Absolutely perfect.
Of course he's gonna be in school.
So cute.
Love her.
She gets all bundled up because I guess she only has one jacket, which is I mean, okay, I actually, this whole time I was thinking, like, kind of crazy that she's living in Seattle and has one jacket, but I did just remember that, like, she just moved from Arizona. So, like, of course she would only have one jacket.
When I moved to Boston, I had one jacket that I bought from American Eagle.
Yep. When I moved from Brazil to Boston, yeah, I did not have a single jacket.
You came in your flip-flops.
Like genuinely, the warmest clothing that I could find was like workout material, like long sleeve shirt. And so like the second that the wind hit me, I was like, oh my God. She goes downstairs. Charlie's already gone, and she realizes that she's running pretty late. So she swallows a granola bar in three bites, and I just think this visual is funny. She chased it down with milk straight from the carton. And I know that is like such like a it's just so classic. Like you see it in movies a lot and like I don't know. My family was never a big milk family. And so like when I hear of like somebody drinking milk from the carton, I'm like, "Oh, wow. That's so all American girl drinking the milk out of the carton."
It- you know, as a someone that is from a very, I would say, American family, I loved milk. When I was like 11, I would drink a glass of milk a day, like at least. I guess that's not
That's
that much, but
amazing.
like it would like
No,
I would
but
like it was like something I looked forward to. Now I cannot handle that. But anyway,
yeah,
I mean, you were a condensed milk family,
I we were a condensed milk family. And yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, that's our
but not a milk family.
no, no, not really. Yeah, I never really
Controversially, my family was a 1% milk family, and I've heard that that's like
any
weird and like un unnatural, not unnatural, but I've
like
heard that's weird.
the norm is now 2%.
Yeah.
I won't get into the milk politics.
Okay. Anyway,
There's a lot I could say about milk. I think you know what? I'll link it down below. A good milk video.
big milk.
It's a video about big milk. So,
Milk.
milk. It was unusually foggy. The air almost smoky with it. The mist was ice cold, where it clung to the exposed skin on my face and neck. Why does she not have a scarf? I'm
Bia is like a scarf advocate.
I am. That is your like number one heat source.
Yeah.
If you're cold, cover your neck. Let's see. It was such a thick fog that I was a few feet down the driveway before I realized there was a car in it, a silver car. My heart thudded, stuttered, and then picked up again in double time.
Underlined that. I was like, okay, girl, you are irrevocably in love with him.
Oh yeah, her car is what? Her heart is like whiplash. But.
I like that we start getting, I'm gonna read this next line. I like that we start getting touches of like vampirism in this chapter. You know what I mean? Like we start getting like vampire traits that he's able to like show
Yes.
off a little bit more because now she's in on it, just like the
Yeah.
doctor was in on it. Um, oh, call back. Uh, so she says, I didn't see where he came from, but suddenly he was there, pulling the door open for me. Do you want to ride with me today? He asked, amused by my expression as he caught me by surprise yet again. There was uncertainty in his voice. He was really giving me a choice. I was free to refuse, and part of him hoped for that. It was a vain hope. I don't understand that. Like, why do you think she said that part of him hoped for that, that she was gonna say no?
Honestly, I know we get into it a little bit later about her like insecurities and like her feeling like he doesn't really like her. Maybe she's thinking like
Well,
maybe like he's giving her an out, right? Like if she decides not to ride with him, then that will be the end of it and they won't do this whole thing, you know? But like if she does decide to go in, then that's her.
and I do feel like you're right that it plays into her insecurities because of it was a vain hope, like him hoping that she would say no and they could end this because he actually isn't that interested in her.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just like, I clocked that and I was like, I'm not fully understanding that. But yeah, I think you're right.
I also think that the question, do you want to ride with me? I know it says, do you want to ride with me today? But like, I think like ride or die, like, like like it's kind of like,
Oh, I
do
do.
you want to like date me? Kind of. I mean, we'll get
Um,
into that.
so she gets into the car. Obviously, she says yes, thank you, trying to keep herself calm. And that damn tan jacket that smells like him was slung over the headrest of the passenger seat. The door closed behind me, and sooner than should be possible, he was sitting next to me, starting the car. So with literally within like two paragraphs, we get little vampire bits, which I like.
It's so awesome. He's just comfortable with her now that she knows, and I think he said something about it in like the last couple of chapters of like, since I'm going to hell anyways, you know? Didn't he say that? Or maybe I know he says it in the movie, but anyway, he says, I brought
I
my
bought,
jacket for
oh,
you.
that is scary. It like actually works.
I brought my jacket for you. I didn't want you to get sick or something. His voice was guarded. I noted that he wore no jacket himself, just a light gray V-neck shirt with long sleeves.
I think he wore short sleeves in the film or the movie, the
The
film.
film.
I think he wore short sleeves in the movie, and I think that is much better. Because in a long sleeve, it's gonna look like you were like an athletic, like
Yeah.
this sleeve shows off his muscle.
I mean, yeah. It the fabric clung to his perfectly muscled chest. Oh my God, wait.
It was a colossal tribute to his face that it kept my eyes away from his body. Oh my God. Why do I feel like we need to get a Bella doll?
You don't know how badly I want a Bella doll.
Okay, okay, we'll get there. I said, but I pulled the jacket onto my lap, pushing my arms through the two long sleeves, curious to see if the scent could possibly be as good as I remembered. It was better.
But he says, aren't you? He contradicted in a voice so low I wasn't sure if he meant me to hear.
They're driving through the fog-shrouded streets, always too fast, feeling awkward. Um,
I was, at least.
that's true. I mean,
I just,
I feel like what's his name? Edward never feels awkward. After that
I know,
long,
right?
do you even have anxiety? You're a vampire. Like, you're fine.
Unless you can't read this girl's thoughts.
That's true. You are so right about that. She says last night all the walls were down. Almost all. I didn't know if we were still being as candid today. It left me tongue-tied. I waited for him to speak.
What? No 20 questions today?
Do my questions bother you? I asked, relieved.
Not as much as your reactions do. He looked like he was joking, but I couldn't be sure.
Do I react badly?
No, that's the problem. You take everything so coolly. It's unnatural. Makes me wonder what you're really thinking.
I always tell you what I'm thinking.
You edit
Not very much.
enough to drive me insane.
You don't want to hear it. I mumbled, almost whispered. As soon as the words were out, I regretted them. The pain in my voice was very faint. I could only hope he hadn't noticed it. Okay, one thing I want to say about this chapter, she's annoying in this chapter a little bit. She's very like, okay, not annoying. I know she's insecure, but she's very like, "Ugh, no, like he would never love me. Like, oh, like I don't know. I think she bugs me a bit in this chapter. That's all. Maybe I'm being mean. Maybe I'm
No,
being.
she is insecure and it's sad.
It is sad. Maybe I just think we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
Because Edward's reaction, there's a lot that happens.
He doesn't respond to what she says, and she says, I wondered if I had ruined the mood. His face was unreadable as we drove into the school parking lot. Something occurred to me belatedly.
Where's the rest of your family? I asked, more than glad to be alone with him, but remembering that his car was usually full.
They took Rosalie's car. He shrugged as he parked next to a glossy red convertible with the top up. Ostentatious, isn't it?
Wow. If she has that, why does she ride with you?
Like I said, it's ostentatious. We try to blend in.
You don't succeed. I laughed. I know. I was like, do I recreate it? You don't succeed. I laughed and shook my head as we got out of the car. I wasn't late anymore. His lunatic driving had gotten me to school in plenty of time. So why did Rosalie drive today if it's more conspicuous?
Oh, yes. And maybe this is where I, thought that he had said this before, but he said, hadn't you noticed? I'm breaking all the rules now.
Yeah, I do love this scene in the movie when
He looks so hot.
he like turns. I feel like he like looks over his shoulder at one point, or like he like slings that jacket. Like, oh, he just looks
He looks, I think this is the scene, he's got sunglasses on and he just looks,
the sunglasses. That's exactly what it is. You're so right.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm breaking all the rules now anyway. Since I'm going to hell.
He met me at the front of the car, staying very close to my side as we walked onto campus. I wanted to close that little distance, to reach out and touch him, but I was afraid he wouldn't like me to.
I love those little bits because I feel like it's such like a crush moment of like you think about every little thing, and then when you're like in a relationship and after you get comfortable, that's just like you don't even think. I feel like you don't even think about those little things, but it's just so sweet of like there's so much thought that goes into even just like brushing up against his arm, and I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why do you have cars like that at all? I wondered if you're looking for privacy.
An indulgence, he admitted with an impish smile. We all like to drive fast.
Figures.
Jess was waiting for them, her eyes about to bug out of their sockets. Mm, okay. Over her arm, bless her, was my jacket.
Hey, Jessica. Thanks for remembering.
And she hands her her jacket without speaking. And Edward says, Good morning, Jessica. He says it politely. Bella says it wasn't really his fault that his voice was so irresistible or what his eyes were capable of.
Er, Hi. She shifted her wide eyes to me, trying to gather her jumbled thoughts. I guess I'll see you in Trig. She gave me a meaningful look, and I suppressed a sigh. What on earth was I going to tell her? Yeah, I'll see you then.
And Jess walks away and she's like looking back at her. And Edward turns to Bella and says, What are you going to tell her?
Hey, I thought you couldn't read my mind.
I can't. Then under then understanding brightened his eyes. Oh, okay. I guess he was also hmm?
I don't
Hmm.
know. I think he's just trying to explain, but that doesn't make any sense. Okay, Stephenie, this writing doesn't make sense here. Because
Hey,
it
Stephenie, are you taking notes?
maybe
I don't know. Like, I guess maybe he was also confused, like,
what do you
huh?
mean I can't? Like, yeah, I can't read your
Like,
mind.
okay. However, I can read hers. She'll be waiting to ambush you in class.
I groaned as I pulled off his jacket and handed it to him, replacing it with my own. He folded it over his arm.
So, what are you gonna tell her?
A little help? What does she want to know?
And he shakes his head, grinning wickedly. That's not fair. And
No. Oh,
no, it it's just fucked up. Like, if you
give
can read minds, you better tell me.
yeah, you better fucking tell me. You better help me out. And she says, "No, you not sharing what you know. Now that's not fair."
He thinks about it, and then I guess, he's been walking her to class, and they stop outside the door of her first class, and she says, sorry, and he says, oh my gosh, she wants to know if we're secretly dating, and she wants to know how you feel about me, he finally said.
Yikes. What should I say? She tries to keep her expression very innocent. And people were passing by, probably staring at them, but Bella's got freaking tunnel vision.
Mm.
She's not looking at them.
And that is such a like sneaky, smooth way to ask him, like, I don't know, oh, yikes, like what should I say? Like are we secretly dating?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I feel like in the movies, I don't want to say they made her seem not helpless, but like what I feel like what's the word? They made her seem just like kind of going with the flow. Like she had no say in anything. And I feel like we see a much like more smart and I feel like deliberate side of Bella in the books. Because
Yeah,
obviously we're hearing her thoughts, so that goes a lot into it.
it
But even
does.
just in the dialogue, like I feel like we don't get these sides where she's like has a little bit of control. I feel like in a lot of the movie it feels
Exactly.
like he has a lot of the control. So I feel like yeah, this is such like and literally trying to keep my expression very innocent. You know her ass is looking up at him like,
She's
"Yay,
like,
what should
"Mm,
I say?"
mm."
Yeah. Like I got chills. I'm blushing, you
That-
know?
oh my gosh, I was blushing for a lot of this chapter. He's thinking about it, so he's like, hmm. He pauses to catch a stray lock of hair that was escaping the twist on my neck and
I don't
wound it
understand.
back into place. I don't understand.
I don't understand what is he like is it like in this moment?
I think
Like
so.
he caught a twist, but like that's not the neck. I don't know. I don't understand that, but whatever. He does a light like caressing of her hair.
He touches her hair. Her heart spluttered hyperactively. And he says, I suppose you could say yes to the first, if you don't mind. It's easier than any other explanation. So, like, okay, like, um, the
This
first
is
part, like,
literally
obviously, I'm like, and then I'm like, what do you mean? Like, easier than, but
well,
okay.
this reminds me literally of like a when it's like one of those like fan fictions, it's like, oh, there's only one bed at the inn. Like, I guess we have to sleep in it. It's like that, that's the only other way. There's no other explanation. Like, there's no other alternative option. Like, we both have to sleep in the bed, obviously. So that's how it feels to me, where he's like, like, I don't know how else we would explain it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now I'm even more like,
But also, like, he's so mysterious, maybe, but like, that's what I think. I think he's continuing this like flirty, like, how could we ever explain it? But I do think he's probably saying it in the Edward way where it's coming out very like chill. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's my understanding.
and she's like,
I don't mind, I said in a faint voice.
as for her other question, well, I'll be listening to hear the answer to that one myself. One side of his mouth pulled up into my favorite uneven smile. I couldn't catch my breath soon enough to respond to that remark. He turned and walked away. Classic Edward.
Jesus,
Classic
always walking
Edward.
away.
He turns around and calls over his shoulder. He says, I'll see you at lunch. And three people walking in the door stopped to stare at her. They were just like,
I mean, imagine you hear about this guy all of high school who never looks at any girl in any girl's direction. He's always like, fuck these bitches. They're thinking about, I don't know, what do people think about in 2008? They're thinking about Britney
iPods.
Spears. I don't know. I don't know, yeah. And then you have Bella and you have no idea what the hell she's thinking. Bella, I almost said Bia. Bella hurried into class, flushed and irritated. He was such a cheater. Now I was even more worried about what I was going to say to Jessica. And we get some mic interaction.
Yeah, she slams down her bag and Mike's like, "Morning, Bella." I looked up to see an odd, almost resigned look on his face. How was Port Angeles?
It was, there was no honest way to sum it up. Great, I finished lamely. Jessica got a really cute dress.
Did she say anything about Monday night? He asked, his eyes brightening. I smiled at the turn the conversation had taken.
She said she had a really good time, I assured him.
She did? He said eagerly.
Most definitely. Oh,
So sweet. I'm
I'm
so happy
happy.
that Bella just told him what to do and he did it and now he's just such
She
an
was
easy.
she was consistent in being like, I'm not interested. Jessica's interested. You should talk to Jessica. I'm not
Mhm.
interested. You should. And I think he finally got it. And I'm sure they had a great date. Jessica's Jessica's fun and she likes him. Like, why wouldn't he have a good time?
Exactly. they do their papers, whatever. It all sort of goes by in a blur. And she's worried about how she's going to explain things to Jessica. And she agonized over whether Edward would really, wow, that's really a tongue twister. Over over
That
whether
is.
over
Over whether Edward.
and agonized over whether whether would be listening to what I said through the meeting of Jess's thoughts.
Can I try?
Yes.
And agonized over whether Edward would really be listening to what I would say. That's really hard.
It's
That's
it
really
it
hard.
was just a hard lots of
Okay.
W's.
Anyway, she's just literally just like, I don't want Edward to hear what the fuck I'm talking about,
Mm-mm.
and he's going to. Like, he's going to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She says how very inconvenient his little talent could be. And I just thought that was cute. Like she's no longer seeing it as like this superpower, like crazy thing. She's just like, ugh, his little talent.
Yeah.
The fog had almost dissolved by the end of the second hour, and I just wanted to note that she said second hour because I feel like most of the time people say second period.
Yeah.
Comment down below. Are you in the Do you say second hour?
Or second period.
She said the day was still dark with low, oppressing clouds. She smiled up at the sky.
When she gets to Trig, Edward was right, of course. Jessica's sitting in the back row, nearly bouncing off her seat in agitation. Obviously, Bella's kind of reluctantly going by, trying to basically get it over as soon as possible.
Tell me everything.
What do you want to know?
What happened last night?
He bought me dinner and then he drove me home.
She glares at her, her expression stiff with skepticism. How did you get home so fast?
He drives like a maniac. It was terrifying. I hope he heard that.
Was it like a date? Did you tell him to meet you there? And I thought that was so interesting because I never thought about like, yeah, of course you would be thinking that. Like,
Yeah, it is like I can see how I'm sure Angela and Jessica were like they were like, what the hell's going on? Like, why
yeah.
did she ditch our girls' night for this dude? Did she invite it? Like, I
Yeah.
can really see the line of thinking.
And
And
Bella hadn't thought of it either.
yeah, no, I was very surprised to see him there.
Her lips puckered in disappointment at the transparent honesty in my voice. But he picked you up for school today?
Yes, that was a surprise too. He noticed I didn't have a jacket last night, I explained, which, in my opinion, does not explain why he's picking you up
No.
for school the next day. I'm sorry. You didn't have a
Like,
jacket last night? Okay, go home and figure it out. Like, I don't know. Like, that's
if anything, like I'm sure Charlie has a jacket that she can borrow, It's just like, yeah.
like just like a random sweatshirt or something. Like,
So, are you going out again?
he offered to drive me to Seattle Saturday because he thinks my truck isn't up to it. Does that count?
Yes.
Well, then yes.
Wow. Edward.
I know. Wow. Didn't even cover it. She didn't say that part. She thought that.
Wait! Her hands flew up, palms towards me like she was stopping traffic. Has he kissed you?
No, it's not like that.
She looked disappointed. I'm sure I did too. Do you think Saturday?
I really doubt it. The discontent in my voice was poorly disguised.
What did you talk about? And classes started, but the kids aren't really paying attention. I guess there's a bunch of kids also talking. How disrespectful.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell? I would have been the student being like,
Guys, please, class has started. Please.
quiet. I was a shusher in like middle school and high school. I would hate me now, but you know,
Hey, we all
it was
grow.
what it was. I was a kiss ass.
Bella says.
I don't know, Jess. Lots of stuff, I whispered back. We talked about the English essay a little, a very, very little. I think he mentioned it in passing.
Please, Bella, give me some details.
Well, Okay, I've got one. You should have seen the waitress flirting with him. It was over the top, but he didn't pay any attention to her at all. Let him make what he could of that.
That's a good sign. Was she pretty?
Very. And probably 19 or 20.
Even better. He must like you. What
I
does that mean?
I think
Okay.
it's just like an older woman who's
Mm.
also hot and sexy, and he didn't give a fuck. Yeah, he definitely likes Bella.
He didn't give a heck.
Oh, sorry, he didn't give a dang.
He didn't give a crow.
Oh, that's so funny. I think so, but it's hard to tell. He's always so cryptic. I threw in for his benefit, sighing. Ha.
I don't know how you're brave enough to be alone with him, she breathed.
Why?
Hmm. He's so intimidating. I wouldn't know what to say to him. She made a face, probably remembering this morning or last night when he'd turned the overwhelming force of his eyes on her.
I do have some trouble with incoherency when I'm around him, I admitted.
Oh, well, he is unbelievably gorgeous.
Jessica shrugged as if this excused any flaws, which in her book it probably did. There's a lot more to him than that.
And she absolutely fucked herself over by saying that line. Big mistake, Bella.
Yeah.
Really? Like what?
I wished I had let it go, almost as much as I was hoping he'd been kidding about listening in. I can't explain it right, but he's even more unbelievable behind the face. The vampire who wanted to be good, who ran around saving people's lives so he wouldn't be a monster, stared toward the front of the room.
Is that possible?
I ignored her, trying to look like I was paying attention to Mr. Varner.
So do you like him then?
Yes,
I mean, do you really like him?
yes. She hoped that detail wouldn't register in her thoughts, so she was really hoping that does not get back to Edward, which,
The blushing, because she blushes and
oh,
she hopes that Edward doesn't see that she
oh,
is
that she's
blushing.
blushing. Okay, I misunderstood that. That makes sense.
She'd had enough with the single syllable answers. How much do you like him?
Too much, I whispered back. More than he likes me, but I don't see how I can help that.
Oh, and
She
she's
sighed, one blush blending into the next. She's just a little tomato at this point.
poor girl. And then the teacher calls on Jessica, and then
And then Bia says, or
Biobella alert. Biobella
Bia
alert.
alert. And then Bella says, in English, Mike asked me if you said anything about Monday night, I told her.
You're kidding. What did you say?
I told him you said you had a lot of fun. He looked pleased.
Tell me exactly what he said and your exact answer. She's so adorable.
Yeah, I low-key love Jessica.
She's so sweet.
We spent the rest of the walk dissecting sentence structures in most of Spanish on a minute description of Mike's facial expressions. I wouldn't have helped draw it out for as long as I did if I wasn't worried about the subject returning to me. And then the bell rings for lunch, and Bella's obviously like so excited to go because she's gonna have lunch with Edward. So she's shoving her books roughly into her bag, and she kind of tips off Jessica because she looks a little too excited to go to lunch.
Hmm. Jessica says, "You're not sitting with us today, are you?"
I don't think so. I couldn't be so sure that he wouldn't disappear inconveniently again.
But outside the door to our Spanish class, leaning against the wall, looking more like a Greek god than anyone had the right to, Edward was waiting for me. Jessica took one look, rolled her eyes, and departed. See you later, Bella. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Her voice was thick with implications, so she would say,
See you later, Bella.
yes, exactly, exactly like that.
And then Bella thinks she says I might have to turn off the ringer on the phone so that Jessica doesn't call her. Is that
I guess, or so
like
that like
interrupt?
Jessica doesn't text her.
Something like that. Okay. All right. So back to Edward.
Mm. Okay, I don't know how to portray this. His voice was amused and irritated at the same time. Hello, her.
Hello. Hello. Okay, so he had been listening. It was obvious. Hi.
It was a quiet walk to the cafeteria. She couldn't really think of anything else to say. Walking with Edward through the crowded lunchtime rush was a lot like my first day here. Everyone stared. He led the way into the line, still not speaking, though his eyes turned to my face every few seconds, their expression speculative. It seemed to me that irritation was winning out over amusement as the dominant emotion in his face. I fidgeted nervously with the zipper in my jacket. And then he stepped up to the counter and filled a tray with food.
What are you doing? You're not getting all that for me.
He shook his head, stepping up to buy the food. Half of it is for me, of course.
Wait, look at me,
Then
look at me, look at me. She says I raised one eyebrow, so I'm raising one eyebrow.
I just gotta add that I think it's kind of sweet to load up a tray for you and your crush. That's so
That's
like
that's
oh.
that's cute. So he leads her to the same place they had sat that one time before. And from the other end of the table, a group of seniors gazed at us in amazement as we sat across from each other. Edward seemed oblivious.
What grade is Bella? Is she a junior?
I think she's a junior,
Okay, okay.
so I get it.
I get it. He pushes the tray towards her and says, "Take whatever you want."
I'm curious, I said as I picked up an apple, turning it around
An
in my.
apple.
I know, I underlined an apple.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Uh,
even let you
no,
finish the
no,
fucking sentence.
I'm curious, I said as I picked up an apple, turning it around in my hands. What would you do if someone dared you to eat food? Like, this is such good banter. I love this. Okay.
You're always curious, he grimaced, shaking his head. He glared at me, holding his eyes as he lifted the slice of pizza off the tray and deliberately bit off a mouthful, chewed quickly, then swallowed. I watched, eyes wide. If someone dared you to eat dirt, you could, couldn't you? What the
He asked
fuck?
condescendingly. I did once on a dare, I admitted. It wasn't so bad.
That was a little weird.
She's a fucking weirdo.
And he laughs and he says, I suppose I'm not surprised. Yeah, something over Bella's shoulder catches Edward's attention, and he says, Jessica's analyzing everything I do. She'll break it down for you later. He pushed the rest of the pizza towards me. The mention of Jessica brought a hint of his former irritation back to his features. I put down the apple and took a bite of the pizza, looking away, knowing he was about to start. So the waitress was pretty, was she?
You really didn't notice?
No, I wasn't paying attention. I had a lot on my mind.
Poor girl. She thinks I could afford to be generous now. Because she was pissed at that girl at the time. She was
Mm-hmm.
pissed.
Edward then says, something you said to Jessica, well, it bothers me. His voice was husky, and he glanced up from under his lashes with troubled eyes.
You look crazy. I'm not surprised you heard something you didn't like. You know what they say about eavesdroppers.
That is so funny. If we had gotten one line of her calling him an eavesdropper in the movie, it would have been so funny.
Like, I'm sorry, the movie's like beautiful to look at, but I want some personality in both of them. It's like
Hmm.
very like I don't like it.
It's so sad to watch it now because I know that she can be so much funnier. Obviously, the movie's
Yeah.
still like so delicious. So
Yeah, it's great, love it, but it's got its faults.
I warned you that you didn't want to know. Oh, wait, no, no, no. He said,
Hmm.
I warned you that I would be listening.
And I warned you that you didn't want to know everything I was thinking.
Boom. You did, he agreed, but his voice was still rough. You aren't precisely right, though. I do want to know what you're thinking. Everything. I just wish that you wouldn't be thinking some things.
He's so evasive. That's quite a distinction.
But that's not really the point at the moment.
Then what is? We were inclined toward each other across the table now. He had his large white hands folded under his chin. I leaned forward, my right hand cupped around my neck. I had to remind myself that we were in a crowded lunchroom with probably many curious eyes on us. It was too easy to get wrapped up in our own private, tense little bubble.
It's so cute. I know it's like, but it's just When it just feels like it's you and one other person, you know, it's sweet. Do you truly believe that you care more for me than I do for you? He murmured, leaning closer to me as he spoke, his dark golden eyes piercing.
I would try to remember how to exhale. I had to look away before it came back to me. You're doing it again, I muttered.
His eyes opened wide with surprise. What?
Dazzling me, I admitted, trying to concentrate as I looked back at him.
Oh,
It's not your fault. You can't help it.
are you going to answer the question?
Yes.
Yes, you're going to answer, or yes, you really think that.
Yes, I really think that. I kept my eyes down on the table, my eyes tracing the pattern of the faux wood grains printed on the laminate. The silence dragged on. I stubbornly refused to be the first to break it this time, fighting hard against the temptation to peek at his expression.
He finally spoke, his voice velvet soft. You're wrong. She glances up to see that his eyes are gentle.
You can't know that. I shook my head in doubt, though my heart throbbed at his words, and I wanted so badly to believe them.
So sad. She's
Yeah.
so sad.
Maybe I can retract my words. I don't think she's not like annoying me. I just like I'm like Bella, have some fucking confidence.
Right?
I want her to believe in herself. I think that's really where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Because damn,
He
yeah.
says, what makes you think so? His liquid topaz, nope. His liquid topaz eyes were penetrating.
I stared back, struggling to think clearly in spite of his face, to find some way to explain this. As I searched for words, I could see him getting impatient, frustrated by my silence. He started to scowl. I lifted my hand from my neck and held up one finger. Let me think, I insisted. Like, come on. That's like, I don't know. I love that. I love this Bella.
Yeah, let me
Uh,
think.
yeah.
And his expression clears now that he was satisfied that I was planning to answer.
Well, aside from the obvious, sometimes I can't be sure. I don't know how to read minds, but sometimes it seems like you're trying to say goodbye when you're saying something else. That was the best I could sum up the sensation of anguish that his words triggered in me sometimes.
Perceptive. And there was the anguish again, surfacing as he confirmed my fear. That's exactly where you're wrong, though, he began to explain. But then his eyes narrowed. What do you mean, the obvious?
Well, look at me. I'm absolutely ordinary. Well, except for bad things like all the near-death experiences and being so clumsy that I'm almost disabled. And look at you. I waved my hand towards him in all his bewildering perfection. So I think this is the paragraph that I didn't love, where I was just like, okay, Bella, like we get it. You're clumsy, Bella. That line is a little crazy.
No, that I underlined it and I was like, oh, this is giving me the same vibes as like the first couple of chapters where she made another sort of ableist comment.
Comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also just like I'm absolutely ordinary. Why would anyone love me? No one would ever love me. Just look at me. I'm just little
Normal.
Bella, old little Bella. Like I think it's more just like I don't think it's bad. It's just like funny. It reminds me of the fan fiction I would read when I was like 13. You know,
Right. Yeah. I put up my normal brown hair into a bun and went downstairs.
into a messy bun. And I put on my Doc Martens
Mm,
and my Rolling Stones t-shirt. I
mhm.
love the Rolling Stones. They're my favorite band. I know all their songs, and you know this obscure one. I love it.
She's just an ordinary girl.
Yeah, literally. Okay.
He is angry at her almost. His brows creased angrily for a moment, and then he says, you don't see yourself very clearly, you know? I'll admit you're dead on about the bad things, but you didn't hear what every human male in the school was thinking on your first day.
I blinked, astonished. I don't believe it.
Trust me, just this once. You are the opposite of ordinary.
My embarrassment was much stronger than my pleasure at the look that came into his eyes when he said this. I quickly reminded him of my original argument. But I'm not saying goodbye, I pointed out.
Don't you see? That's what proves me right. I care the most because if I can do it, he shook his head, seeming to struggle with the thought. If leaving is the right thing to do, then I'll hurt myself to keep from hurting you, to keep you safe.
And you don't think I would do the same?
You'd never have to make the choice.
Okay. I feel like we need to talk about this. I feel like a lot of this page is like not a lot of it. I think there's like a little bit of like foreshadowing. Like
Mm. Oh,
if
yeah.
leaving is the right thing to do, then I'll hurt myself to keep from hurting you to keep me safe or to keep you safe. Is that not kind of the plot of the whole second book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yep.
Just wanted to confirm my suspicions.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm
that line was
so
crazy.
excited.
That line was so crazy to me. I think
I
it's
mean, he also leaves her in this book too, though, right? Isn't Oh, no, no, no. Is possibility that whole like
that's
that
all
is
that's the
that's
second
all New Moon? That's crazy. I always like merge them together.
possibility.
Is possibility in Okay.
That's so funny. Yeah, so I just that line
Wow. Yeah,
was
it's the entire
crazy.
second book.
And her coming back and being like, you don't think I would do the same? I just feel like we get a stronger Bella in the book and a Bella that, like I said, doesn't just like isn't just swept around by this like vampire and his family. I wish we just got more of that.
Yeah, I do too. She's a lot more of like a young adult novel female lead in this book than she is in the movie. Some like if you watch like the Hunger Games, like Katniss is still like really like strong in the movies.
I also just feel like in even in just like YA like
Yeah.
romantic like or whatever, just like regular YA books. There is some bits of it where like in a YA book, the main character is supposed to be like charming a little bit and like, have a personality. And I feel like we get that in the book and we don't get in that in the movie. And
Mm,
that'll be the refrain, over and over and over again.
I
I will
know.
that, but like I am really enjoying the book. That's all.
I really am. I really am. Abruptly, his unpredictable mood shifted again. A mischievous, devastating smile rearranged his features. Of course, keeping you safe is beginning to feel like a full-time occupation that requires my constant presence.
I thought it was funny that he said occupation instead of job. He's just so like he's so formal.
Right?
Um, no one has tried to do away with me today. I reminded him, grateful for the lighter subject. I didn't want him to talk about goodbyes anymore. If I had to, I suppose I could purposely put myself in danger to keep him close. I banished that thought before his quick eyes could read it on my face. That idea would definitely get me in trouble. So
That's also, yeah.
this is the second book
Yep.
on page 211 of Twilight.
Yep.
So Stephenie, she's so funny. Maybe she was just rereading Twilight and she was like, okay, that's a great idea. That's what I'm gonna do. Or she's just like so smart and really thought ahead. But that is cray cray. Literally just like a random page. I love it.
That's amazing. Yet, yet he
So
added.
yeah, no one's tried to do away with her yet. Yet she agreed. Say yeah 4 times.
I would have argued, but now I wanted him to be expecting disasters because that means he's always going to be there.
He's gonna save her. His little damsel in distress.
Right? He asks, I have another question for you.
Shoot.
Do you really need to go to Seattle this Saturday, or was that just an excuse to get out of saying no to all your admirers? Oh, which, yeah, why is she saying that she's so completely ordinary when she literally had a whole chapter of three guys that she's known for like 2 days asking her to the prom?
I think that's why I got a little peeved off at her this chapter because I'm just like, girl, you're not stupid. Do not act like you don't have people knocking down your door to go on a date with you. I have had friends like this that they're beautiful and gorgeous and amazing, and it's just not the right guys that want them, so they don't feel like they're like anyone likes them. I'm like, if
Mm,
you have 4 people wanting to go on a date with you, just because they're not the right people doesn't mean that you are not a desirable person. You know what I mean? Like, so she's just, it's a classic pretty girl. Pretty girl doesn't know she's pretty.
mm.
I haven't forgiven you for the Tyler thing yet. It's your fault that he's deluded himself into thinking I'm going to prom with him.
Oh, he would have found a chance to ask you without me. I just really wanted to watch your face. He chuckled. I would have been angrier if his laugh wasn't so fascinating. And this line made me blush. If I had asked you, would you have turned me down? And he asked this while he's still laughing to himself. But,
Probably not, I admitted. But I would have canceled later. Faked an illness or sprained an ankle. Also more foreshadowing. Okay.
oh
Uh,
my God, wait, that's so
I know she like
funny.
breaks her foot, but like I
Yeah.
feel like that's similar.
Why would you do that?
You've never seen me in gym, I guess, but I would have thought you would understand.
Are you referring to the fact that you can't walk across a flat, stable surface without finding something to trip over?
Obviously. Clumsy Bella alert, clumsy Bella alert.
She's so
I'm so clever.
clumsy.
So she says, obviously.
That wouldn't be a problem. He was very confident. It's all in the leading.
Yeah, that's hot.
But you never told me. Are you resolved on going to Seattle, or do you mind if we do something different?
And then in her head, she goes, as long as the we part was in, I didn't care about anything else. I'm open to alternatives, I allowed, but I do have a favor to ask.
He looked wary, as he always did when I asked an open-ended question. What?
Can I drive?
Why?
Well, mostly because when I told Charlie I was going to Seattle, he specifically asked if I was going alone. And at the time, I was. If he asked again, I probably wouldn't lie, but I don't think he will ask again. And leaving my truck at home would just bring up the subject unnecessarily. And also, because your driving frightens me.
He rolled his eyes. Of all the things about me that could frighten you, you worry about my driving. He shook his head in disgust, but then his eyes were serious again. Won't you want to tell your father that you're spending the day with me? There's an undercurrent to his question that I didn't understand.
I feel like here he's trying to suss out, like, are you not scared that I'm gonna hurt you? Like, you don't want
Yeah.
him to like know that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what he's trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Bella says, with Charlie, less is always more. Where are we going anyway?
The weather will be nice, so I'll be staying out of the public eye, and you can stay with me if you'd like to.
So again, he's leaving that choice up to her. And you'll show me what you meant about the sun. Bella's super excited about unraveling another of the unknowns. I love how she says that.
It is very interesting that yeah, like, I mean, I guess she's been alone with him before, so it's not that scary, right? But it's like now you're going to an unknown location out of the public eye. Nobody knows that you're hanging out with him, and you know that he literally finds it difficult to not drain you of your blood.
It's nice. I mean, I get why she feels safe with him. He saved her life a couple of times. Like
I mean, yeah.
I get it. So yeah, Edward says,
Yes. He smiled and then paused. But if you don't want to be alone with me, I'd still rather you didn't go to Seattle by yourself. I shudder to think of the trouble you could find in a city that size.
I was miffed. Phoenix is 3 times bigger than Seattle, just in population. In physical size.
Miffed.
I know, wait, you have to interrupt me.
But apparently, he interrupted me. Your number wasn't up in Phoenix, so I'd rather you stay near me. His eyes did that unfair, smoldering thing again.
I couldn't argue with the eyes or the motivation, and it was a moot point anyway. As it happens, I don't mind being alone with you. Mm.
I know, he sighed, brooding. You should tell Charlie, though,
Why in the world would I do that?
to give me some small incentive to bring you back.
Oh, sorry. She gulped. But after a moment of thought, I was sure. I think I'll take my chances.
Shoot. He exhaled angrily and looked away.
Let's talk about something else. I like that she's just like, I'm done.
What do you want to talk about? He was still annoyed.
I glanced around us, making sure we were well out of anyone's hearing. As I cast my eyes around the room, I caught the eyes of his sister, Alice, staring at me. The others were looking at Edward. I looked away swiftly back to him, and I asked the first thing that came to mind. Why did you go to that Goat Rocks place last weekend? To hunt? Charlie said it wasn't a good place to hike because of bears.
He stared at me as if I was missing something very obvious.
Bears? You know bears are not in season.
If you read carefully, the laws only cover hunting with weapons. He watched my face with enjoyment as that slowly sank in.
Bears.
Grizzly is Emmett's favorite. His voice was still offhand, but his eyes were scrutinizing my reaction. She tries to pull herself together.
Hmm. She takes another bite of pizza as an excuse to look down. So, what's your favorite?
This everything from this point on is so fucking awkward and I'm
I don't like
so uncomfortable. The second that she said, let's talk about something else, I was like, oh no. Oh no, the flirting is over. What do we got? Oh no.
Yeah, I don't love it.
I'm uncomfortable. So she asked him what his favorite is. He raised one eyebrow, and the corners of his mouth turned down in disapproval. Mountain lion.
Ah, I said in a politely disinterested tone, looking for my soda again.
Of course, we have to be careful not to impact the environment with injudicious hunting. We try to focus on areas with overpopulation of predators, ranging as far away as we need. There's always plenty of deer and elk there, and they'll do. But where's the fun in that? He smiled teasingly.
Where indeed? Sometimes she sounds like far out, like when she said shoot.
Shoot.
Where indeed?
Early spring is Emmett's favorite bear season. They're just coming out of hibernation, so they're more irritable.
Nothing more fun than an irritated grizzly bear.
And at this point, I wrote that this conversation was painful. He snickered and shook his head, and he said, tell me what you're really thinking, please.
I'm trying to picture it, but I can't. How do you hunt a bear without weapons?
Oh, we have weapons. He flashed his bright teeth in a brief, threatening smile. I fought back a shiver before it could expose me. Just not the kind they consider when writing hunting laws. If you've ever seen a bear attack on television, you'd be able to visualize Emmett hunting.
I couldn't stop the neck shiver that flashed down my spine. I peeked across the cafeteria toward Emmett, grateful he wasn't looking my way. The thick bands of muscle that wrapped his arms and torso were somehow even more menacing now.
I'd watch that tape. Yeah. Man, shoot. Link down below your favorite Emma and Bella fan fiction.
When I was younger, I was obsessed with Draco and Hermione fan fiction. There was one, hey, honestly, guys, this is a really long shot. I read this one where Hermione was afraid of lightning, okay? She was afraid of lightning, okay? And Draco, like, please, please, someone help me find it. She was afraid of lightning, and it was like post-war, and I'm pretty sure that they didn't win, like like Voldemort won. So it was like she was afraid of lightning. Drop down below. Do you guys know? I've looked for it. I've Googled it a million times. I cannot find it, and I want to reread it. I want to see what like 11-year-old Katie or 12-year-old
Oh,
reading.
right?
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
my God. Edward followed my gaze and chuckled. I stared at him, unnerved.
Are you like a bear too? I asked in a low voice.
More like a lion, or so they tell me, he said lightly. Perhaps our preferences are indicative.
I tried to smile. Perhaps. But my mind was filled with opposing images that I couldn't merge together. Is that something I might get to see?
Which I think is a fair question,
Put me up in a tree. I want to watch.
right? But he says, absolutely not. His face turned even whiter than usual, and his eyes were suddenly furious. I leaned back, stunned, and, though I'd never admitted to him, frightened by his reaction. He leaned back as well, folding his arms across his chest.
Too scary for me?
If that were it, I would take you out tonight, he said, his voice cutting. You need a healthy dose of fear. Nothing could be more beneficial to you.
Then why? I pressed, trying to ignore his angry expression.
He glares at her for a long minute and then says, Later, he was on his feet in one lithe,
Live?
lithe.
Life? Life? I honestly don't really know.
Well, he was on his feet really quickly, and he says, "Later, we're gonna be late." And she glances around, startled to see that he was right. The cafeteria was nearly vacant. When I was with him, the time and place were such a muddled blur that I completely lost track of both. I jumped up, grabbing my bag from the back of the chair, and the last line is,
Later then. I agreed. I wouldn't forget.
"Hmm."
Boom, boom, boom. Wow. Cray, cray.
So hopefully we get to find out. I mean, my theory is that, he can't hunt around her because he's just gonna hunt her. He's gonna know where she is and he's just gonna kill her. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of chapter 10, Interrogations. And we do get a couple of interrogations here. Interrogations from Jessica, from Bella, from Edward. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I've said it multiple times. I think we get so much more from them in this book. And obviously, it's a book. We get more. I just mean like I wish they would have added some of this. I think we get a little bit of it. This scene is obviously this scene's a little bit in the movie, right? Like
Yeah, this
get
is
like
the scene that they're sort of.
okay,
This is when the apple scene happens. And so they're walking around, they're sort of talking to it. But it's a little. Actually, no, no,
it's
it's
not as
not when the apple
long.
scene, because that's when she's inviting him to La Push, I think. So, like,
Rewatch the movie. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I know that every now and then I see like deleted scenes on Instagram or something, and all the comments are like, if they had just kept this in, like we would have had so much more.
just was would have been better. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. My final thoughts, honestly, is that Edward is becoming a lot more comfortable with her. He wants her to sort of see his world. Even though this last bit of the conversation where he's like being honest about like what he eats and what he does for fun, even though that was very awkward, like I think it's his mode of just trying to be a little closer to her. And
Definitely.
he's he also might be trying to scare her away, I think.
I think a little bit of that. I also think he is having, because I mean, he has that line about like breaking all the rules.
Hmm.
I think that they have all been cooped up for, however long it's been. And I can imagine that he's like, I'm ready to fucking figure my shit out and maybe meet a girl and have some fun while doing it.
Facts.
You
He,
know?
yeah, he just wants to have a good time. Wow. Wow, wow, wee, wah. Well, we next episode are gonna read chapter 11, Complications. So I don't know what the complications are gonna be, but I can't believe it. We're already almost halfway through.
Yeah, there's 500 pages. So once we break 250, oh my God. Hi, Edward.
Once we break 250, oh my gosh,
Eddie.
there's 500 pages exactly? That's so funny.
There's like 498,
Oh.
something like that.
Bow, 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 bow,
There's like
bow,
there's
ba-dum.
also at least in my book, probably yours too. There's a sneak peek of New Moon, which takes up like that much space. So like the actual book,
Yes, yes.
498. So we are at, sorry, I love the visual. This is chapter 11. And
Dang.
that's without
Yeah.
the, we're close.
Wow. Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Me too.
And so far it's been so pleasantly different from the movie. I know we just keep comparing it, but it's real fun. Well, just as a reminder, I'm Bia,
I'm Katie.
and this has been Twilight
Twilight Tonight.
Tonight. Bow, 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 bow,
Thank
bow,
you
bow,
for
bow,
listening.
bow. Bow, bow,
Subscribe.
bow, 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 bow,
Apple,
bow, bow, bow,
Spotify,
bow,
YouTube.
bow, 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 bow.
That's beautiful.
And now, a movie review.
I watched Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman.
How'd you like it?
I gave it 3 stars.
That
It
makes sense.
was I will be honest, like it was kind of hot and I was like, whoa. But they made it like so like realistic that like it was no longer like it wasn't like a sexy movie. It was just like imagine if you were a CEO and you fucked your intern and it ruined your family. That's
Oh,
exactly how it would go.
oh, that's fun. Okay, that's not fun. I mean, um,
Yeah, but
okay.
it was just really funny. Like her husband is her husband Antonio Banderas? I like
In real
what?
life?
No, no, no. In the
Oh,
movie. Sorry.
I was like, what? No.
Yeah, he is. Okay. He is her husband in the movie, and I just think that's so funny because like Antonio Banderas is such a sex symbol and like we were supposed to like view him as like this guy that can't make his lady finish.
Him and Spy Kids.
Dude, he I have a movie called Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down that has Antonio Banderas in it. And that movie is he's yeah, it's
He
really
does.
good.
Thanks for listening. Let us know in the comments what Twilight character are you feeling like this week? What did you think about Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman? What are you having for dinner?
Hope you have a yummy dinner.
You
Nom
too.
nom nom nom. We got chilicates,
Mm.
birria tacos. Mm,
Wow.
I'm really
Or should
excited.
I say, wow.
That feels offensive. I feel like I can't laugh at that.
No, it's okay.
I'm just kidding.
I went to Puerto Rico last winter.
I have Spanish friends. For
Oh.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I did hear it loud and clear.
My plan has worked. All
Later,
right.
alligator.
Bye.
Bye.